Bonjour everyone! If you are thinking about moving to the south of France, especially here in the Languedoc region, or you already made a move, I wanted to share some of the practical things I really wish I would have known before we moved here. The little things that could catch you out, and the things that could actually save you from a hospital visit. Bonjour, I'm Gabi and this is Simple Life in the south of France. We moved here with my husband, 2 little kiddies and a doggy in 2024. And on this channel I share real, honest life. The good bits, the not so good bits, and the practical things you actually need to know. Because the truth is, living in the Languedoc is absolutely lovely. The light is beautiful, there are vineyards everywhere, the pace of life is slower. And in many ways, it really does feel like that dream people imagine. But once you are actually here and everyday life starts, you realize quite quickly that life here has its own little quirks. So today I wanted to share those things I genuinely wish someone would have told me earlier. The first one is actually quite important, especially in spring, and I had no idea about this before we moved here. The first time I saw them, I was out walking with a friend, just chatting and enjoying the sunshine. And I suddenly saw this long line kind of slowly moving along the path. And honestly, I thought, oh, it's quite fascinating, let's have a closer look. But my friend really quickly stopped me and said, no, we are leaving now. That was my introduction. They usually live in pine trees around here, and you can sometimes spot these white, cotton-like nests hanging in the branches. And then at a certain point, they come down to the ground. And that's when you see them moving in those long, almost perfectly straight lines. They might look harmless, but they are not. Itchy skin, rashes, swelling, sore eyes, and for dogs specifically, it can be very dangerous, potentially fatal. And the thing that really surprised me is that you don't even need to touch them. Even the ground they've been on can cause a reaction because of those tiny hairs they leave behind. So now we have a very simple rule. When we see them, we just turn around. And I keep a very close eye on our children and that doggy when we're out walking. It sounds a bit scary at first, but once you know what to look for, it just becomes one of those things that you are aware of and learn to avoid them. And this next one, I still can't quite believe happened. I'm not joking. Exploding cucumbers are actually a thing here. Last year, I was on a walk with my family and we saw what looked like a small cucumber plant. So I thought, oh, that's great, let's get some. So naturally, I went to pick one up and that was my mistake. As soon as I touched it, it literally exploded in my hand and the juice went everywhere on my hands, my clothes, even on my face. And I just stood there completely shocked for a second and then I realized it's probably no good. My husband quickly googled it and it turns out that it's something called a skirting cucumber. And its juices can irritate your skin and eyes, and is definitely not something you want anywhere near your mouth. In some cases, it can actually cause quite a strong reaction, so it's definitely one to avoid. So I ran home and had probably the most thorough shower of my life. Luckily I was fine, but I definitely learned my lesson. Now I have a simple rule. If I don't recognize a plant, I don't touch it. The next one is less dramatic, but actually very useful in everyday life. Always keep a few bottles of water at home. Because the tap water here is usually fine, but after heavy rain or if there has been some work on the pipes, it can suddenly turn a bit brown. The first time it happened, I panicked a bit. I thought we had some serious issues with our plumbing. But then a local told me that I just need to run the tap for a little while and it would clear. And sure enough, he was right. It turned out that there had been a broken pipe somewhere, and once it was fixed, the dirty water just needed to flush through the system. So after running the tap for a bit, everything went back to normal. Earlier this year, after some really heavy rain, we had murky water for a couple of days. It's not common here at all, but it can happen. So now I always keep a couple of bottles of water at home. It's one of those things that don't seem important until you really need it. This is something I really wish I had done earlier. If you are moving into an older house, especially these beautiful stone houses, I would really recommend of making a list of local tradespeople before you actually need them, because at some point you probably will. These houses are full of character. but they do come with little surprises, a leak or some kind of electrical issues. And when that happens, you really don't want to be searching for a plumber at 8 p.m. on a Sunday. So now I keep a small list with contacts for everything: a plumber, a builder, an electrician, all based on local recommendations. You can get these contacts from Facebook groups, from your neighbors, or even the local mairie. They're very helpful with that. This one still makes me smile a little bit because it definitely caught me out at the beginning. Priorité à droite. I remember driving through a small village feeling quite confident, and then suddenly a car just pulled out from the right. And my immediate reaction was, what are you doing? It's so dangerous. And to be honest, I also thought, what an asshole. But as I later found out, I was the asshole. Because in France, the default rule at any intersection without signs or markings is called priorité à droite. It basically means that if there are no priority signs, the car coming from the right has priority. So even if you feel like you are clearly on the main road, if there is no sign and someone comes out from a street on your right, they can still pull out in front of you. So now I just slow down a little bit at every junction to have a quick look, assuming that something can appear. It's one of those things that becomes second nature by time, but at the beginning, it can definitely take you by surprise. One of the best things you can do when you arrive, especially if you don't know anyone, is joining local Facebook groups. They are actually incredibly helpful. People share recommendations or give advice, everything from doctors to where to buy good olive oil. But more importantly, it's how you start building connections. Here in the Languedoc, the expat community is quite strong. They organize coffee mornings and lunches, and it makes such a big difference, especially at the beginning. It's a really nice way to start building those first friendships, especially while you are finding your feet here. It's just one of those things that can make everything feel less overwhelming, especially at the beginning. And finally, this is probably my favorite one. It sounds simple, but it's very easy to forget when life takes over. Try to do something nice for yourself every single day. Sit outside with a coffee while listening to the birds. Go for a slow walk. Notice the lights, the seasons, the small changes around you. Because life here has the potential to be slower, but you still have to choose it. And those small everyday moments, what makes life here really feel special. So these are some of the things that have made life here easier or perhaps more enjoyable for us. Some of them are small, some of them are unexpected, but they are all part of real life here. If you are planning your move or you are already here, I would love to know what surprised you the most. But for now, I see you in the next one. A bientôt!